Hey, welcome back. Ground Zero Salem, year-end bonanza, coming at you currently. Yeah, I figured I'd do a year-end thing. I did actually write a top 10 of the year for a local music blog, arts blog, called the Boston Hassle. I kept it to 10 for that particular publication because it would just keep going and going. You know how it is. I have a little bit more to throw at you. I'm going to include the 10 that I listed in the article, which I'll link below. And then go on, get a little tangential on you, talk about some other stuff. I just got like a whole pile of stuff from 2018 that I've been meaning to catch up on that I haven't really worked into my system yet, so I'll be talking about that as well. Just kind of doing a retrospective of the year as well as sort of a pickups video in this little update. I hope everybody's had a good, safe, and happy holiday. I know I have. I've got family upstairs, so I'm trying to make this brief, but I did want to knock this out before this kind of tumultuous year for a lot of people wraps up. So I got work tomorrow and all that fun shit. Last thing you guys need to hear is me talk about work. So, in no particular order, the 10 from the article, the 10 from the list. Right in front of me, got Muenin of Zezbath, Ancient Spells of Darkness. A lot of these I'm going to be pretty brief about because I kind of verbally diarrheaed at you at length about what I thought about them in the initial videos. But great, fucking cryptic, raw, hypnotic, kind of melodic death metal stuff from Belgium, I believe. They put out a hell of a demo last year. They're related to the Perverted Ceremony project. Definitely one of the best black metal releases of the year, in my opinion. Not that I'm some aficionado on that. Then next up, we got Bone Sickness, Theater of Morbidity. Can't say enough good stuff about this. If I had to pick a #1 album of the year, this would probably be it. Pacific Northwest, kind of late 80s style, grinding, death metal, very influenced by Repulsion and all the tape-traded early death metal stuff of the era, Slaughter. There's a little bit of a punk kind of power violence undertone slightly in there. There's some sound clips that I find entertaining. It's just a great, well-put-together, well-written record. This is on, like, Everybody and Their Mothers, Tomb Mole's Manor of Infinite Forms. Toronto band. Great, solid death metal. Traditional death metal, but not aping one particular scene or locale. Great little touches of melody with the guitars, the riffs, and all that kind of stuff. This came out on 20 Buck Spin. Quick rewind. The Muenin record came out on Nuclear War Now. And Theater of Morbidity, I believe, was self-released. And, yeah, apparently Theater of Morbidity, they've been talking about releasing that on some other formats. It only came out on cassette, I think 100 copies limited. There might have been a second repress, I don't remember. But hopefully the guys in the band decide to do that. Anyway, jumping all over the place. Ghastly, Death Velour. So nice, that velour. Also came out on 20 Buck Spin. Great finish, creepily melodic, kind of horror vibe, sort of death metal. Otherworldly, ethereal, fucking scary. Really good. Came out super early, 2018, so I think a lot of people may have forgotten it came out in 2018, I feel like. I haven't seen it on a ton of lists, but I'm not scrutinizing everybody's lists either. Alright, up next, Mind Forces Excalibur on Triple B Records. This band's been around for a little bit, a couple of years at least. I didn't hear them until a couple of months ago. A friend of mine posted a link to their 7-inch before this came out on Facebook. Thank you, Big Mike, for bringing this band to my attention. God, this is good. You know, it's taken a lot from metallic hardcore from the late 80s, from New York, but it's doing it in a way that's completely fresh. You know, taking a little bit of bounce from Bad Brains' Quickness and Burn and stuff like that, but going into full-on thrashing, a la the Crumbsuckers and Prong, early Prong, like the first record or two. Regional influences from their area, from the Hudson Valley. Mind Force, it's great. was I gonna say? Yeah, it's just got kind of that jagged, like, sort of bouncy stuff, like, going into thrashing. A little bit of a, you know, a kind of a hip-hop sort of thing going on with the vocalist's approach, Jay's approach. It's really good. So we got City Hunter next. This is Deep Blood. Again, I think last update I just talked about these records, so I don't need to talk about them too much. I have spun this a ton. It's like something from the subconscious of a fucking serial killer or a slasher villain. Scary vocals, kind of affected. Sounds like the guy on the cover singing, like I already said last update. This was on Youth Attack. There are a lot of variants of this if you're collector scum, which I'm too lazy to be. This is red and black. Yeah, the riffs are great. I think I called it deceptively simplistic because they're so well written and haunting, but they're also very simple and punk. But yeah, I just love the layout. It's just directly out of a fucking great slasher movie. Very fucking cool. Then we got Innumerable Forms, Punishment in Flesh on Profound Lore. So, talked about this a while ago, probably about half a year ago. Awesome record. I had the CD, which I've passed on to Eli since then because Justin from this band was kind enough to send me a copy of the LP. Apparently he was happy with the kind words I had to say. Local Renaissance man, Justin Detour, thank you, sir, for this. But like I said before, it's Death Doom, but it's a level of quality that's above, head and shoulders above a lot of bands doing this style right now. And there's a lot of them. You know, it's got a nice crawling finish kind of thing to it. The riff craft is on par with like a lot of the early Peaceville stuff. And it's just fucking great. Good solos. The solos are super memorable. Guttural vocals, of course. Just a great record. Highly recommend it if you haven't checked it out yet. All these extras are from my die-hard copy of Faust Coven's In the Shadow of Doom, which was probably my most anticipated record this year. This is originally a one-man project. So was Innumerable Forms, actually. Like Innumerable Forms, they're a fleshed-out band that started as a one or two man recording project. This guy's from Norway. These guys are from Norway. I always liked them because they had a really cool approach to fusing really primal, you know, trad doom, I guess you would call it, with like the second wave Norwegian black metal sound, and they've kind of expanded it from there. They've kind of cut away the fat and consolidated their songwriting and kind of boiled it to an essence. There's more of a riff focus on this that's really, really good. A little bit more almost like kind of bluesy riffing on a few songs that's like kind of 70s almost that they're playing with. Harmonica. It's just a cool, refreshing listen. You know, I am not a big black metal guy, as fans of the channel may know, but this is one of my favorite black metal bands, like of all time or whatever. Waste Management. Tried and true. Get into some more hardcore here. This band's been around for 10 years or more, maybe like 12. I think I saw their first, if not one of their first shows at a basement in Alston. Boston hardcore scene. This wing of it has a lot of incestuous stuff going on. Band-wise, I mean. Nothing weird. With guys, you know, all being in each other's bands. Like, I mean, for instance, the drummer here is the guy from Innumerable Forms and Magic Circle, and they all kind of share bands with each other. So what I'm getting at is that Waste Management has been around for 10 years, but they've recorded 2 7-inches, a couple of like jam tapes, and then finally this. This was worth the wait, though. 12 years in, or however long it's been. Perfect hardcore LP. Haven't changed their sound one iota from their first 7-inch, which is how I like it. Albeit maybe a little bit more like plotting mid-pace discharge song stuff injected in a little bit to make things a little bit more interesting. But for the most part, it's just fast. Pummeling hardcore that has elements of classic Boston and New York stuff going on. You know, the first AF 7-inch, SSD, a little bit of Bastard from Japan, I feel like. And a lot of people say that, but I agree with them. Definitely Discharge. So just fucking great hardcore record there. Over in a quick minute. It's like less than 20 minutes for the LP. It's probably as long as some of their 7-inches. I don't know. We got Candy's Good to Feel next. I talked about how this band is kind of pushing things in hardcore, like developing somewhat of a new sound, which is cool. You can't really reinvent the wheel with stuff these days. I'm just going to play this Motorhead record again. I was spinning Another Perfect Day down here a couple of days ago. Anyway, there's no reinventing the wheel, but these guys are clearly such like young dudes that are just excited on a wide array of stuff, and it shows. There's an obvious nods to like Japanese stuff on this as well. There's even a song called Systematic Death, but then they've got these super hard like metallic bust like breakdowns that you could, you know, get really ignorant in the pit to. There's a good sense of noise washing kind of over stuff back and forth between all the songs. Really venomous vocals. The last track is got like a strong, like almost like Stone Roses or some kind of Britpop kind of thing going on. I guess visually they took a lot of cues, like the way they dress and stuff. I've never seen them live, so I'm just going on what I've read about Candy, but I guess they're inspired by the Manchester rave scene of like the late 80s and early 90s. They're quoted in an interview as saying like, hardcore is dance music, and we kind of take cues from that scene, so that's really interesting. But yeah, just as far as songcraft, fucking awesome. I need to get their other material. I really want to get that 7-inch, but it's sold out at a lot of places. Candy Good to Feel. Great LP, came out on Triple B. So this year was really special for legacy acts that have been around for some time. I feel like putting out some of the best records of their career in recent times, specifically all hardcore bands. I did talk about this Sick of It All record, Wake the Sleeping Dragon. This is some of their best material that they've written since the 90s, I feel like. Just very produced very well. You know, it's got this great vibrant sound to it. Lou sounds awesome. Kind of like bringing almost a little bit of something new to the table here and there. You know, they're a band that has like a couple of different tricks they pull out of their hat in terms of like they've got some songs that lean more towards like an oi, like anthemic kind of thing. Some songs that are a bit harder. Some of their riffs are almost kind of like weirdly noisy in sort of a 90s way. And I feel like here they just like kind of ramped up the intensity. The first song, Inner Vision, definitely has like a D beat like all throughout it and ends in this really strong, almost kind of Wisdom in Chains sounding chorus. I really like this record a lot. It came out on Fat. They were on Century Media, I want to say, for quite a while, and I feel like maybe being back on Fat Records has kind of given them a breath of fresh air or something. Really good. Slapshot. Another great band that's been around for a long time. Make America Hate Again. This came out on Bridge 9. Love this record. Their last record, which was self-titled, was also great. But this, I feel like, is one of the strongest ones they've also, common theme here, one of the strongest ones they've done in a while. You know, barked, sandpaper kind of sung vocals like Jack Kelly's known to do. One of the best in the biz for that kind of vocal style in hardcore. Kind of one of the founders of it. Really, I mean, this Craig Silverman, the guitarist, who also plays in AF, played in Only Living Witness, played in a band, thrash band called Formicide a long time ago. Is just a fantastic fucking writer of music, great player, and the songs just fucking rip. It's over in a quick sec. Same sarcastic attitude as always with the lyrics. Same catchiness of the choruses, but really the best they've done in quite a while. Like possibly since Step on It, or you know, maybe 16 Valve Hate, one of those records. Really like it a lot. This I just bought because it was on sale at Newbury Comics. Terror, Total Retaliation. Talked about it very recently as well. If you know Terror, you know what you're getting. They don't sway too much from their formula, which is a winner. I think The Damned and the Shamed went a little bit more metal. Keepers of the Faith was a little bit more towards hardcore. This is a really dark feeling Terror record. It's fast, aggressive, metal tinged hardcore like they do and do well for some time. But there's something about it. Also, Scott's vocals on it are some of the most vicious vocals I've heard him do. in quite a while. And I mean, his vocals are always pretty pissed, but they're really pissed on this. So, Total Retaliation, vinyl press of this came out on Triple B. And Triple B is just killing it lately. And it's on silver vinyl. How about that? Madball for the Cause, another legacy band putting out a great record. Also kind of bringing a few little new things to the table, you know, a little bit more accessible for Madball, slightly. Nothing approaching poppy or anything like that, but there's a song they do with Tim Armstrong from Rancid. Has a strong kind of Rancid vibe to it, as you can imagine. I don't know, Freddie's vocals are still as, you know, angry as ever, still sound great, very strong, but there's a little bit more, something verging on melody there. Something a little bit more on the catchy side with them. And I dig it, you know. Going strong into 2019. So I have a bunch more stuff. Ones that I didn't mention yet. Stuff that I really liked, but I didn't include it on that list for one reason or another. Just to mention in the video. Then I have some stuff that I just bought, so we'll throw a little pickup section at the end of this. Really like this Dodsrit. Almost like blackened D-beat stuff. Very epic though, very long songs. Sounds like Tragedy playing Scandinavian black metal. This came out on Prosthetic. They put out a tape last year, in 2017, that I loved. And that holds up to it, I would say. This Scorched Ecliptic Butchery. Got this a few weeks ago. Haven't had the chance to spin it that much, but I do really like it. I understand why it's such a hit with the kids. I also got the LP that compiles their demos. It's very like meat and potatoes, early 90s brutal death metal, but there's, and I don't like to overuse the word, but there is a sense of kind of like horrific atmosphere to it. You know, I feel like there's a little bit of tongue-in-cheekness, you know, to their approach and everything, but I do get kind of a slasher vibe from it, which is cool. What else? Skeletal Remains. I wasn't really thinking when I compiled that list. I probably should have put this on it, the one that ended up on the blog there. But this is killer death thrash stuff from California. It's a three-piece, you know, Pestilence, Sepultura, Demolition Hammer, that kind of shit. Very catchy, very thrashing, great kind of deep, gruff vocals. Awesome, awesome band. It's Devouring Mortality. Came out on Dark Descents. This came out on 20 Bucks Spin. See what I do? I'm just going to put in captions. I don't give a fuck. Whatever. Then, you know, I got a little bit to talk about from the Bindrune camp. Big fan of most of the output from that label. I just talked about the new Panfaga, so I'm not gonna drone on about it. I love how catchy and melodic this band is. I like this just as much as the last one. Love this band. Swedish black metal. This End for Ends, also out on Bindrune. The Weakness of Our Constant. Love it. Very expansive, progressive. There's a lot of clean vocals on it. It's, you know, it's technical, doomy kind of death metal stuff, and it's excellent. Really good. Newest Panopticon. Everybody loves Panopticon. I am no exception. The latest one, The Scars of Man, On the Once Nameless Wilderness, Part 1. I still need to get Part 2. I haven't picked it up yet, but I feel like they did kind of try to, or Austin himself rather, tried to split it up a little bit, with separating out a lot of the folkiness that's usually embedded within the black metal, although there's some on this, in the intro especially. But I do really like this. I'm a newcomer to a lot of this stuff. Like a year ago I started getting into like this kind of black metal, but everything that I have by this guy is really strong, and this is no exception to that. I got the new Horrendous. I really haven't had the time to listen to this, to be honest, other than like once or twice in the first like 2 tracks. Very technical from what I remember. Very like, you know, second or third Atheist record. cynic style stuff is the direction they've been going in for a while, and they're like diving feet first into here. And that stuff I do like. At least Atheist, I'm not much of a cynic guy. And Later Death, it's pretty good. You know, I need to give this a couple of listens to see if this is for me. I did really like the last one though, so. Speaking of Wisdom in Chains earlier, nothing in nature respects weakness. This is, I don't know, record number 7, 6, 7, something like that, for this Pennsylvania band. Killer musicians, these guys. Everything on their past couple of records just sounds sonically perfect. Very melodic, like hoarse, gruff, kind of tough sounding vocals, but executed in such a way that it works with the music perfectly. Lots of melodic stuff, very fast. Musicianship wise, like they could easily play power metal if they wanted to, but they're playing hardcore. They could also be like a Fat Wreck kind of band, but they're doing their own really unique take on like kind of hard as nails hardcore stuff and working in all kinds of little tricks and throwing in rock and roll riffs and solos. They've been doing this for, almost dropped it. They've been doing this for quite some time, and they're very, very good at what they do. I just bought this. Regular commenter, Grind Crusher, was like, I know you've been burning out on OSDM, but have you heard Carnation? And I was like, no. I've seen this up on Amazon. I think I've seen ads for it and stuff. But I said to myself, oh, I'd pick it up, you know, check it out. Listen to it first on YouTube, and it's really good. I only listened to a couple songs, but it's got like a very kind of like churning Morbid Angel sort of thing with like a little bit of Swedish death metal. So it's a combination of two scene sounds, two classic scenes. From what, I mean, this is initial first impression stuff. But yeah, it's good. It's very very catchy. Decipherable vocals, which often you don't hear as much in death metal. And Trappist, Ancient Brewing Tactics. This is a Relapse release. I was resistant to this because it's, you know, a concept band that's kind of, you know, jokey, being about beer. Excuse me. So there's some real goofy titles. There's some that I have to kind of tip my hat to, like Victims of a Bomber Raid, stuff like that. This Means Wart. So, you know, if you can handle the tongue-in-cheek thing, and, you know, more people these days should have a sense of humor, I think, anyway. The music itself is great. It's top-notch. It's Chris Dodge, who was in Spaz, and I forget the other two guys' names. One guy's from Despise You, and the other guy, I don't know if he has any previous projects. But it's, you know, that power violence influence is there. You know, you got some legacy people from that scene, but there's a lot of grind and crust, you know, other stuff. There's even like a kind of a tough guy-ish song, Frank the Tank, I think, last song on the first side. Or Swignorant. Swignorant's the kind of more like, yo, what's up, hard kind of song. They kind of play with a lot of different genres. It's goofy, it's for a laugh, but it's extremely well done. You know, guys can write a song and play their asses off, so cool. Another Relapse release, Outer Heaven, Realms of Eternal Decay. So everybody's been talking about this since it came out, but I was down this rabbit hole for late 80s style hardcore, metallic hardcore, New York hardcore. Wasn't really feeling any more death metal at the moment. You know, sometimes you hit a saturation point with your listening. And I put it off and put it off. I'm kind of glad I did, and I'm kind of glad I didn't. I'm glad I did because this record's really, really well written. Super fun listen. Packed full of great riffs that aren't overstated, you know, not overtly technical, just catchy. The songs themselves are complex enough, but you know, go in such a direction that it stays with you. Great guttural deep vocals, this style, kind of death doom sort of stuff. I feel like maybe it's just because of all the hardcore actually I've been listening to lately, but just some of the more I don't want to say slamming because that's a different genre, but some of the heavier riffs, you know, almost they seem like they come from like almost sort of a hardcore playbook, like a metallic hardcore playbook, but that just might be my tainted ears. I'm not sure. Regardless, this is a great record. It's primordial, you know, death doom, death metal, brutal, old school death metal, whatever you want to call it, from Pennsylvania. But they execute what they do in such a manner that it's really great. So I'm partially kicking myself for not getting into this earlier, but I'm almost kind of glad I waited, because it's like, holy fuck, you know, it's almost great, because I don't have jaded ears from listening to a ton of bands like this. It's been pretty much just innumerable forms and a few other older bands and stuff. So anyway, long rant, long ramble. And then I think that's about it, except for I got Blood Pressure here. Do I ever? Beach Impediment Records. Hardcore band from PA. Cool center labels there. So these guys share members with Concealed Blade, who I gushed over last year. Concealed Blade have a little bit more of a rocky, kind of, I don't know, like Feel the Darkness era Poison Ideas sorta kind of thing. Very much a faster hardcore band, but have a little bit more hookiness to them. Blood Pressure, more just rip your face off kind of shit. Very fast. A little bit of an oi kind of thing going on with like some of the choruses and stuff. Deep gruff vocals. Another quick one, like the Waste Management LP, it's over in the blink of an eye. But just, it's so hard to write hardcore like this, I feel, and have it be memorable and stick with people, especially in 2018, when fucking Negative Approach and The Fix and all the bands that did it the first time around did it so well. And Blood Pressure are very, very good at what they do. For a choosy guy, this is good. Make mine Blood Pressure. Their last record was really good as well. Unfortunately, I think they're calling it a day. So, all right. Well, big old rant. Kind of talking a mile a minute. Sorry if English is not your first language, because it might be a little tough to follow. But my family's upstairs and I want to get back to them. But I also want to have something for some watching on New Year's Eve.